So let's start our discussion with memory management. When we are talking about memory management, that means what? See, like other resources of computer system, we have to use memory, which is again a resource of computer system, efficiently, so that we can use the whole resource more efficiently and no fragmentation is there, means no slot is unused or misused. So we have to plan, we have to strategize certain things so that we can use memory efficiently and we can allocate all the processes into our memory, at least as much as possible. So memory management is the functionality of an operating system which handles or manages primary memory and moves processes back and forth between main memory and disk during execution. As you all know, we can store our data into secondary memory as well as main memory. But when our processes are in execution, when we have to execute our program, we have to load that particular program, that particular process from disk or secondary storage to main memory. Only then it can be in execution. So it is the job of operating system to keep track and keep loading and unloading the processes from disk to main memory or main memory to disk when it is in execution, and or when it is done with its execution, it have to move back to disk. So this whole thing has to be strategized, and memory management basically keeps track of each and every memory location regardless of either it is allocated to some process or it is free. All right, so it checks how much memory is to be allocated to process. Also it decides which process will get memory at what time. It keeps tracks whenever some memory gets freed or unallocated, or uh, correspondingly it updates the status. So in whole uh, session we'll be discussing how and what kind of memory is to be managed. So when we are talking about uni-programming system, main memory is basically divided into two parts uh, for operating system. It is called the residential monitor or kernel, and other part of the program concurrently being executed. In multi-programming system like in our Windows, the user part of memory must be further subdivided to accommodate multiple processes, and the task of subdivision is carried out dynamically by the operating system and is known as memory management. So effective memory management is very crucial when we are into multi-programming system. If only few processes are in memory, then for much of the time of the process will be waiting for input output operations, or maybe for processor will be idle. So thus memory needs to be allocated to ensure a reasonable supply of ready processes to consume available processor time. That means the processes which are ready to be executed, they must be loaded into the main memory only. Rest all the processes, all the relative data should be in the secondary storage, so that system or operating system is also very much clear that these processes are ready to be executed and it can plan accordingly. So although we know that memory is nowadays quite cheap and it has dropped the prices very considerably, but still we have to strategize the three things in a way that we can efficiently make use of such memories. Like if we have certain gigabytes in range, or maybe terabytes, there are never enough main memory to hold all the programs. So if we are keep on uh, saving the programs, we are keep on adding the programs into our memory, but we are not deleting it, we are not organizing or managing it, then ultimately that space will going to be filled. So in that way also we have to continuously refresh our memories. We have to manage the processes into memory, and those processes, those programs that are not longer required, they must be flushed out so that the memory slot can be reused. So rather than we are keep on extended our memory, main memory or secondary memory, we must manage the things more efficiently. Now, let's discuss few of the related terminologies that you must aware of. So, firstly, let's discuss process address space. So, what is a process address space? So, when we are talking about process address space, it is a set of logical addresses that a process refers in its code. Like taking an example, when we are having 32-bit addressing in use, so addresses can range from 0 to certain multiples of 2, like 2 raised to power 31, let's say. So this number is possible. For total theoretical size, it has to be 2 gigabytes. So this range should be allocated or referred when we are locating the programs, because they have a certain process address space. So operating systems take care of mapping the logical addresses to physical addresses at the time of memory allocation to the program. So basically there are certain types of addresses used in program before and after memory is allocated. Firstly, we are having symbolic addresses. Symbolic addresses are what? Symbolic addresses are used in a source code. So those addresses which are used in source code, they are termed as your symbolic addresses. The variable names, constant, and instruction labels, they are the basic elements of any of the program or source code, and we allocate certain uh, space into our memory to those variables, constants, or labels. So they will be stored in symbolic address space. Then we have relative addresses. At the time of compilation, a compiler converts symbolic addresses into relative addresses, and those addresses are termed as your relative addresses. So when we are compiling our source codes, the converted addresses are being mapped. The symbolic addresses are mapped to relative addresses, and they are termed as relative addresses. So next we have physical addresses. Physical addresses are what? When the loader generates addresses at the time when a program is loaded into main memory. Firstly, we have stored the programs into our secondary storage or disk space. So when we are going to execute that program, it will be loaded into the main memory. So at that time, whatsoever the address is allocated to that particular process, into main memory, that address of main memory will be termed as your physical address. Apart from this, we are having logical and physical address spaces. So what is address space? Basically, an address generated by the CPU is referred to as logical address, whereas an address seen by the memory unit, that is the one that is loaded into the memory address register of the memory, which is called the physical address. So logical address is generated by CPU, whereas physical address are seen by memory units. And the set of all logical addresses generated by a program is a logical address space. And the set of all physical addresses corresponding to these logical addresses is called physical address space. So logical and physical addresses are same in compile time and load time. The runtime mapping from virtual to physical address is done by the hardware device, which is called memory management unit. So next we are having static versus dynamic loading. Now, what do you mean by loading first? What is loading? As I have mentioned, when a program is going to be executed, it will be loaded into the main memory from secondary memory, from your disk. So that term is here considered to as loading. So we have now two types of loadings. One is static loading and the other one we are having is dynamic loading. So basically the choice between the static or dynamic loading is to be made at the time of computer program being developed. If you have to load your program statically, then at the time of compilation, the complete program will be compiled and linked without leaving any external program or module dependency. The linker combines the object program with other necessary object or maybe the object modules into an absolute program, which also includes logical address. So if you are writing a dynamically loaded code or program, then your compiler will compile the program and for all the modules which you want to include dynamically, only references will be provided and rest of the work will be done at the time of compilation or execution. So at the time of loading, with static loading, the absolute program and data is loaded into memory in order for execution to start. So in static loading, we will completely load the whole program and the related data into the main memory from the disk at once, and after that it will start its execution. And if you are using dynamic loading, dynamic routines of the library are stored on a disk in relocatable form and are loaded into memory only when they are needed by the program. So let's see, you are into dynamic loading and certain module or part of your program that is to be executed only, that will be loaded in the main memory. Rest can be loaded as and when it is required. And also the referenced files, let's say the functions, the header files, whichsoever is required, it will be kept in the disk only and it will be loaded in the main memory as and when it is required. So only a particular module or a part of program will be loaded into the main memory and it will start its execution. Rest other things will be loaded as and when time to time they are required. So that is the purpose of dynamic loading. We will not load the whole program, all the modules and the related data or the required header files at once like we do in static loading. All right, so in static loading, we load whole scenario, whole program and the related data into main memory and then we will start with our execution. But when we are talking about dynamic loading, we will start our execution with the part of program which is being loaded into the main memory. Rest will reside in the disk only, and it will be loaded at the time when it is required. So this is the basic difference between static loading and dynamic loading. Then moving ahead, we have linking. Now again, linking is of two types, static and dynamic linking. So first thing first, what is a linking? What do you mean by linking? So basically, linking is what? When a program is in execution, it requires certain extensible files, maybe. They can be from your library files, your header files, or the functions. So for that, have the access of those library files or the header files, we have to link them first. Only then we can make access to their functions. So this process is termed as linking. So when static linking is used, the linker combines all other modules needed by a program into a single executable program to avoid any runtime dependency. When we are using dynamic linking, it is not required to link the actual module or library with the program. Rather, a reference to the dynamic program is provided at the time of compilation and linking. And dynamic link libraries in Windows and shared objects in Unix are good example of dynamic libraries that are used while compilation and executions. So under static linking, what we are doing is we will link only at the time of compilation the whole set of modules with whole set of libraries that are required in execution, and they will be then loaded at one time into the main memory. But in dynamic linking, we start with one module, maybe a reference is provided, but not the link. So we are not linking here. That linking will be done only at the time of execution, and we will link to those library files which are required as and when they are required. But in static linking, they are linked at once and then it will start with the execution. Whereas in dynamic linking, whichever file is required, time to time we will be linking and delinking. So this is basic difference between static linking and dynamic linking. So our next topic of discussion is swapping. Under swapping, what we do is, basically swapping is a mechanism in which a process can be swapped temporarily out of main memory, or it is moved out of main memory to secondary memory and make the memory available for other processes. This is what is being done in swapping. So let's say we are saying that when we have to execute a program, a process, we have to load it into main memory from the secondary memory. So if our main memory is full, you can check from this diagram. If our main memory is full, or maybe we don't have that much of space or slot for the process to load, but it is an urgent process and we have to execute it on urgent basis. So what is been done? We swap few processes or maybe one or two processes back into the secondary memory and make the slots available for some other process, the program, to be loaded into the main memory so that it can execute first. After its execution is done, we'll again swap it out from the main memory and load it into back to the secondary memory. So this process of swapping out from the main memory or swapping in to the main memory when we are loading it for execution, that process is termed as swapping. Though performance is usually affected by swapping process, but it helps in running multiple and big processes in parallel, and that's the reason swapping is also known as a technique for memory compaction. And also, the total time taken by swapping a process includes the time it takes to move the entire process to a secondary memory and then to copy the process back to the main memory, as well as it is the time the process takes to regain main memory. So basically, a process must be in memory to be executed, and a process, however, can be swapped temporarily out of the memory to a backing store and then brought back into the memory for continued execution. And the backing store is commonly the disk, and it must be large enough to accommodate copies of all memory images for all users, and it must provide direct access to these memory images. The system maintains a ready queue consisting of all processes whose memory image are on the backstore or in memory are ready to run. And whenever the CPU scheduler decides to execute a process, it calls the dispatcher. The dispatcher checks to see whether the next process is in the queue in memory. If it is not, and if there is no free memory region available in the main memory, the dispatcher swaps out a process currently in memory and swaps in the desired process. It then reloads registers and transfers control to the selected process. So basically, swapping helps in running more jobs in CPU by keeping only those processes in memory which are currently required by the system and the rest to be swapped out from the memory to the secondary memory. This scheme allows more jobs to be run that can fit into memory at one time. So this is the basic purpose of swapping. So guys, we are halting the discussion here only. So if anyone is having any kind of doubt till now, you can ask. So in today's session, we had a discussion for memory management, what memory management is, about certain kinds of address spaces, and then we had a discussion for static and dynamic loading and linking. Then we had a discussion for swapping. So if anyone is having any kind of doubt, you can ask your questions now.